Well, our fourth and final race of the Radical Club Cup of the weekend about to get underway. A very busy weekend it's been for these drivers. Darren Luke lines up on the pole position. Alongside him, the man from Nottingham, car number 22, Steve Burgess. He secured the Super Sports class honours in the race that we've just seen. Onto row 2, that's where we see number 5, Rachel Davis, and alongside her, the blue car, number 20, in the hands of Simon Fish. They had a titanic battle in the race a few moments ago. Well, again, the circuit has completely dried now, and the sun is absolutely beating down, albeit it's still a little bit chilly here at Snetterton. And the red lights are about to come on and get the Radical race underway, with Darren Luke and Steve Burgess on the front row of the grid. Watch out for Colin Miller. He's in that red and silver car on the third row. The lights go out. A great start from Colin Miller. He's already trying to hoist himself alongside Rachel Davis as they head up towards Ritchie's for the first time. It's going to be Darren Luke that leads from Steve Burgess in second place, and Colin Miller trying to go around the outside of Simon Fish to steal third place away. Everybody having safely made it through the first right-hander. There go the Club Sport class cars towards the rear of the field, and Colin Miller did indeed manage to claim third place. Rachel Davis is there in fourth place, and completing the top 5 is the blue car in the hands of Simon Fish. We ride on board with our Club Sport class leading car in the hands of Andrew Harwood. He's already claimed 3 victories out of the first 3 races in his class we've seen so far this weekend. He's going to try and make it 4 if he can. Very busy field again, feed their way through the S's. We ride on board with Chris Hillaby in the Radical SR3 that sits in the Super Sports class. Through the right-hander at the bomb hole he goes. You can see that Chris Hillaby at the moment is just inside the top 6. He's got a queue of cars behind him though as he went through shot there. Looks as though David Franklin continues to lead the invitation class as well. Steve Burgess lock brakes from him. Colin Miller has made it through. Steve Burgess therefore down into third place. He's in danger of dropping to fourth because Rachel Davis draws alongside. There goes Darren Luke. All of the squabbling is allowing him to pull away. Colin Miller is through in second place. Rachel Davis is fighting with Steve Burgess for third and fourth. We ride on board once more with Chris Hillaby. That looks as though going through at the inside, around the outside I should say, is Richard Stables. He's gained a position, the hotelier. So Chris Hillaby, therefore, is going to be down towards the very bottom of the top 10 currently. They all make their way out onto the Revit straight once more. There is a spin for Vincent Rassat in the Club Sport class car. Looks as though he's rotated through more than 360 degrees and will continue on the circuit. Rachel Davis up into second position. We can see already that Darren Luke is sprinting away. What can Colin Miller in second place do about closing him down? Colin Miller, the 42-year-old from Ballymena in Northern Ireland, the reigning Radical Club champion. Through the bomb hole and up towards Corby goes. He's got the 19-year-old from Evesham in the red number 5 car. Rachel Davis sitting right behind him, and a great battle as well. Simon Fish and Steve Burgess make contact, I think. You can see the tyre marks on the rear of Steve Burgess's SR3 there. Simon Fish making the briefest of contacts. Ray Woolhead all over the grass, and a spin for him as well. Ray Woolhead in his first season of racing, the 43-year-old from Holmfirth. He's going to have to wait for the field to feed their way through, find a gap, and then rejoin the circuit. Well, after his spin, Steve Burgess is very keen to make his way up through the order, fighting away at the moment with car number 75. That's Paul Steele, the man who's in his 40s from Goole. As there goes number 20, Simon Fish. Despite that contact, it didn't cost him a great deal of time. He continues down the Revit straight with Chris Hillaby, who we ride on board with. He's got, that looks like James Abbott pulling alongside him. And there goes the youngster up the inside. The teenager, 16 years of age, is James Abbott. Through and past Chris Hillaby, who's in his 50s and comes from Hertford. As through the bomb hole goes Chris Hillaby, absolutely on the edge of adhesion. You can see the steering input there briefly to try and keep the rear end of the SR3 in check with the front. Up towards the braking area for Russell up the inside. Great move from Chris Hillaby, gains the place. James Abbott will fight back on the exit, however. Gains the place, albeit for a few seconds, loses it again on the exit of the same corner. We ride on board once more with Andrew Harwood, still leading the Club Sport class at the moment, as he has done nearly all weekend, regardless of whether the conditions be damp or dry as they are now. Gary Baxter, car number 22, queuing up behind him to try and seize the place. The Club Sport ahead of the SR3 as they battle for overall position, but not class position. And let's have a look at the replay of the contact. Simon Fish tries to get up the inside. Steve Burgess, I think, rightly as he could do, turned in, and poor old Simon Fish making contact. Ray Woolhead spinning eventually in sympathy. Well, up towards Ritchie's comes some of the battles still going on. That's James Abbott, who we've seen out in sporadic karting outings previously. He's right upon terms with Simon Fish at the moment. The SR3 ahead of the PR6, then it's another SR3. That's the white, grey and Dayglow machine of Paul Steele behind. That trio of cars make their way down the Revit straight as they fight for what is 5th, 6th and 7th places currently. We ride on board with Darren Luke still leading the race overall. That's Vincent Rassat. We saw him have a spin a few moments ago. Darren Luke not happy with that, shaking his fists. You can see he is being caught by the reigning Radical Club Cup champion, Colin Miller, and Darren Luke does not want to lose any time at all. Vincent Rassat briefly holding up the race leader, and the man from Droitwich not happy. He's got the Irishman, the Northern Irishman from Ballymena, Colin Miller closing in on him all the time. Further down through the field, here comes Nigel Place fighting away with car number 19. That's Gary Kane. We saw that car out in the hands of Tom Ashton in a couple of the races earlier on today. And right the way around the outside goes car number 26 trying to gain a place. That's Mark Boot. So one great thing about the Radical Club Cup, no matter where you look, there are always titanic battles going on. The progress of Steve Burgess following his spin continues. Here's the invitation class battle again. We saw David Franklin and Tim Porter fighting away in race 3 for the honours in the invitation class. Well, battle has very much resumed again in this one. David Franklin still holding at bay Tim Porter, albeit for the moment, as is our overall race leader, because being caught all of the time now is Darren Luke. Colin Miller is right up on terms with him. The PR6 still leads. Colin Miller in the SR3 sitting there in 2nd place. Darren Luke, of course, in the Pro Sport class. Colin Miller hunting him down. He leads the Super Sports class. But it's overall honours that count for these guys as they head round through Coreham once more. 38-year-old from Droitwich leading. Colin Miller, the 42-year-old from Ballymena, is right with him. As we ride on board with Darren Luke, Colin Miller will be at least behind, if not almost trying to hoist himself alongside if at all he can. Down the start, finish straight, the two of them go. And aloft for number 8, that's John Morris at the wheel of his Club Sport Radical. And here comes once more the two cars residing at the very sharp end of the invitation class. David Franklin still keeping Tim Porter's orange machine at bay. There goes number 75, that's Paul Steele. He is still trying to get himself right up onto terms with those around him, with this time the black and white warning flag going out for number 6. That is Nigel Place. So perhaps corner cutting again for Nigel Place has been observed, and should he continue to do so, a somewhat dimmer view will be taken. Into shot now, car number 20, Simon Fish. We can see the pressure he's under still from James Abbott and Paul Steele. Still fighting away for 5th, 6th and 7th places, those 3 cars. And still fighting away for the lead of the race. Just heading through shot there is Darren Luke and Colin Miller. There goes James Abbott, still with Paul Steele right the way there with him. Into the braking area for Russell, the two of them go. Still with James Abbott working very hard indeed at the wheel of his factory run Radical PR6. Of course, his father, co-founder of Radical Sports Cars some 11 years ago. Phil Abbott due to have been out with us this weekend, but is currently on crutches in the paddock following an incident earlier on at the weekend. Down the straight once more go the lead battle. Darren Luke will be watching his mirrors. It's Ian Charles in the Radical Club Sport that's ahead of us. We're about to put a lap on Ian Charles. He moves neatly out of the way. So this time, no fist shaking required by our race leader. Darren Luke having to watch his mirrors all of the time, having to time every single manoeuvre perfectly. There goes car number 25. That is Andrew Harwood. He still continues to lead the Club Sport class. Out of 3 races we've had so far, he's claimed class victory in all 3. He's looking for his 4th in this one. As race leaders in towards Russell once more. Vincent Rassat in the Club Sport again moves neatly out of the way. Down the start finish straight they go, with still this fabulous battle between James Abbott and Paul Steele for the last couple of places inside the top 6. And now Darren Luke, we ride on board once more. You can hear just how hard that Suzuki engine is powering the Radical PR6. This time, however, Colin Miller looks to have got a good slipstream as they head down the Revit straight. The PR6 still leads, the SR3 in the hands of the reigning champion. Of course, he secured the 2009 championship here at Snetterton at the very final race of the season. Sits there in 2nd place. Look at the squabble that's still going on between Paul Steele, car number 75, and then the 74 machine in the hands of James Abbott. Add into that as well that I think Gary Kane is mixed up with them as well. And it's all looking very close indeed between those three as they charge down in towards the braking area for the S's. Gary Kane going right the way around the outside of both of them. Well, Darren Luke is watching the clock tick as well, I'm sure. Colin Miller will know that time is running out if he really wants to get himself right up onto terms with the race leader and steal a potential victory away. They're heading on to their final lap of the race. A couple of miles to go, therefore. Ray Woolhead, car number 27, new to motorsport this year, is going to move neatly out of the way for Darren Luke as they head up towards Sear Corner. We're right on board with Darren Luke once more. Uses all of the curbs on the exit of Sear and will head down the Revit straight for the final time. Colin Miller has pushed him very hard indeed. There goes Steve Burgess as well. He's still just outside of the top 8 places. As Darren Luke for the final time makes his way in towards the S's. Well, Colin Miller, of course, had to start from the rear of the field in race 3. He picked his way towards the very front and started on the 3rd row of the grid for this one. But Darren Luke has shown him a clean pair of heels from very good driving from both of them as once more they deal with the back markers in very efficient fashion. In towards the braking area for Russell for the final time. They will make their way over the start-finish line, and it is going to be shortly another victory for Darren Luke onto the centre straight for the final time. They accelerate towards the start-finish line. It's the invitation class battle that's directly ahead of them that won't go a lap down. Darren Luke comes through and claims the honours. Colin Miller comes through in 2nd place, chases him all of the way. Rachel Davis, great result for her. She finishes in 3rd position as we still watch this fight that's going on between James Abbott and Chris Hillaby. They will come over the start-finish line and ultimately finish in 9th and 10th places respectively. Well, once more stunning action from the Radical Club Cup. Right the way throughout the field, there's been fabulous battles, and it looks as though once more car number 25, Andrew Harwood, is indeed poised to take yet another class victory, making it 4 out of 4 for him this weekend in the Club Sport class. Onto the brakes and into Russell for the very final time he goes in the Kawasaki engined machine, accelerates towards the start-finish line, and yet another class victory, a clean sweep for Andrew Harwood here at Snetterton this weekend. He claims his class honours. And how's the invitation class coming on? Well, at the moment, it's Tim Porter. Orders reversed relative to where they were in the 3rd race of the weekend. Tim Porter in the orange car ahead of David Franklin this time. So Tim Porter will head towards the start-finish line, and he will claim honours in the invitation class. Great racing from those two. Through and over the start-finish line they go, as Darren Luke claims yet another victory in the Radical Club Cup from Colin Miller in 2nd place. He therefore claims the Super Sports class, and Rachel Davis completes the top 3. Once more we see the 4 class winners on the podium.
Darren, 3 out of 4 this weekend, and finally that overall victory.
Yes, well, yeah, very good, very pleased with that, to be honest. A lot of hassle by Colin. You know, I saw him come and I thought, oh no, I was hoping I'd made a decent enough break, but I did think he was going to get me, to be fair. His car was a bit better in some places, I was a bit better in others. Overall, really, really tight, and you know, thrilling battle for me as well, and my heart's pounding, so I really enjoyed that one.
You also really enjoyed that. A great battle there for the class win.
Yeah, it was great fun. It was really good. David again, like the previous race, just managed to pip him through the corner and hold him off with a few back markers. But yeah, it was great fun. Really good fun. Hard work though.
Well, in the championship, Colin Miller leads the Super Sports class by just 2 points from Steve Burgess, with Rachel Davis in 3rd. Leading the Pro Sports class, but more importantly, the overall championship is Darren Luke, and Andrew Harwood, of course, leads the Club Sports class. Well, we've had some great racing action all weekend here at Snetterton, despite what the weather's thrown at us. Join us Maybank holiday weekend when we'll be at Alton Park.